Welcome back, boys and girls, for another reading lesson. Today, we're going to start working on the skill compare and contrast. When you compare two things or two groups, you're saying how they're alike. And when you contrast two things or two groups, you're saying how they're different. So this is called a Venn diagram. We've used it before in our classroom. Remember, it's two overlapping circles. And we write how things are alike or how two groups are alike in the middle. And then we say how two things or two groups are different by writing their differences on the outside of the circles where they don't overlap. Again, how they are alike is in the middle where the two circles overlap, and how they're different is on the outside of the circles where they don't overlap. Today, we're going to be reading a new story in our book, and we're going to be practicing this skill, compare and contrast. Our story today is called Animal Groups, written by James Bruchac, and we're going to be comparing and contrasting different animal groups. Are you ready to read? All right, let's get started. Let's take a look at 5 animal groups: fish, reptile, amphibian, bird, mammal. How are animals in a group the same? When we say how animals in a group are the same, then we are telling how they're alike. Okay? What are the 5 different groups that we're going to be studying in this story? That's right. Fish, reptile, amphibian, bird, and mammal. The first group that we're going to read about is fish. The label's right here, fish. Okay? Fish must live in water. Fish have gills that help them breathe in water. Fish have fins and tails. Those help them swim. Notice that the author put labels on the fish. We've used labels before in our classroom, haven't we? You've had to label your drawings. This says fin, eye, mouth, gill, fin, tail. When an author labels a picture for me, it helps me understand what I'm reading. Fish can be many shapes and sizes. Can you find a fish in this picture? Do you see it? That's right, there he is. There's his eye. You can see him. He's camouflaged, isn't he? He must be hiding so that he won't be somebody's supper or dinner. Reptiles can live on land. Some like to be in water. Reptiles have scales on their skin. So this next section is about what? Reptiles. And what did we learn? Reptiles can have scales on their skin. Here's another set of labels: eye, legs, tail, scales. So this is sort of like a zoomed in picture of the scales on a reptile. If you were able to touch these scales, do you think they would be smooth, bumpy, or rough? What do you think? Many reptiles hatch from eggs. Oh, what is this animal? It's a turtle. So a turtle is a type of reptile. And what is this a picture of? A baby turtle hatching from an egg. How are these pictures connected? That's right. This is the adult turtle and this is the baby turtle. Snakes cannot walk. They do not have legs. This snake slides its long body on the grass. So how are turtles and snakes different from each other? That's right. Turtles can walk and swim because they have legs. Snakes cannot walk because they don't have legs. Oh, the next group that we're going to read about is called amphibians. Can you say amphibian? Amphibians spend time both on land and in water. They do not have scales. Their skin is wet. There's those labels again. This says eye, wet skin, legs. Amphibians hatch from eggs. Tadpoles hatch and grow to be frogs. Here's a picture of an adult frog, and here's a picture of tadpoles. What do you think tadpoles are? Oh, they're baby frogs because it says tadpoles hatch and grow to be frogs. Birds. That's our next group, animal group that we're going to read about. Birds. A bird has feathers and wings. This bird's eyes are on the sides of its face. Eye, bill, wing, feathers. Many birds can fly. Some can run or swim fast. Birds hatch from eggs. This hen made a nest for its eggs. What is the next animal group that we're going to read about? That's right. Here's a subheading, mammals. We're going to read about mammals. A lion must be a mammal. Mammals can be many shapes and sizes. They have hair on their skin, tail, hair, eye, legs. A mammal mom can make milk for its baby. Lots of mammals live on land, but some live in water. Did you know that you are a mammal too? The end. I hope you enjoyed that story. Now we're going to practice our new skill, compare and contrast. We talked about it as we were reading, some things that were alike about animal groups and some things that were different. But I want to focus in on, if you remember, we read about amphibians. So I'm going to write that on one side of our Venn diagram. And we also read about reptiles. So I'm going to write that on one side of our Venn diagram. So we're going to think back to what we read, and we're going to think about how amphibians and reptiles are alike, and we're going to write it here in the middle. And we're going to think about how amphibians and reptiles are different from each other, and we'll write those on the outside of the circles where they don't overlap. Okay? Can you help me think of ways that amphibians and reptiles are alike? Let's look back. Reptiles can live on land. Some like to be in water. Reptiles have scales on their skin. Many reptiles hatch from eggs. Snakes cannot walk. They do not have legs. This snake slides its long body on the grass. Amphibians spend time both on land and in water. They do not have scales. Their skin is wet. Amphibians hatch from eggs. Tadpoles hatch and grow to be frogs. Oh, I heard that both of them hatch from eggs. Also, if I think back to my labels, they both have legs, eyes, tails. Did they both have scales? They both have eyes, legs. I don't think they both have scales. And I remember that snakes don't have legs. So I'm just going to put that they both have eyes. Now, I do remember that it said that reptiles have scales, but I don't think amphibians have scales. So that would be one way that they're different. So I'm going to put scales on which one? Reptiles. Remember, reptiles have scales? What did it say about amphibian skin? It said that their skin is wet. So I'm going to say no scales, wet skin. Okay, can you think of any other ways that amphibians and reptiles are alike? Can you think of any other ways that amphibians and reptiles are different? All right, boys and girls, good job learning how to compare and contrast or tell how things are alike and how they're different. Now it's time for you to practice this skill. So you're going to go to Reading A to Z and click on the story that I assigned to you, and then complete the activities where you have to compare and contrast. I know that you'll do a great job. Thank you. See you soon.